In 1993, deep beneath the windswept grasslands of southern Russia, an archaeologist brushed aside centuries of soylent, stared into the empty eye sockets of a warrior buried with her blade. But this was no man. This was a woman. And everything we thought was myth was about to be rewritten. For over 2,000 years, they were the ghosts of folklore, murderous, beautiful, untamable. The Greeks called them Amazons. Tales of their fury and fire had danced through the ages like whispers on the wind. They were said to be a race of all-female warriors who ruled without men, rode horses with the speed of storm winds, and fought Greek heroes to the death. Homer wrote of them in the Iliad, where the great Achilles clashed with their queen, Penthesilea. Ancient vases showed them locked in mortal combat with spear and sword, facing legends like Heracles and Theseus. But scholars dismissed it. Fiction, they said. Symbolism. Just a myth, or so the world believed. That is, until the graves began to speak. It began on the frigid steppes of Eurasia's endless fields of gold and snow, stretching across what is now Ukraine, Kazakhstan, and southern Russia. There, buried beneath great mounds called kurgans, archaeologists were unearthing ancient tombs left behind by nomadic tribes known as the Scythians and Sarmatians. The Scythians had always been known as fierce horsemen. Their skill with the bow was legendary, but among the remains, something strange was found. Some of the skeletons buried with swords and arrowheads automatically labeled male warriors were female. This discovery stunned the academic world. Could these be the real Amazons? In the 1990s, a team led by American archaeologist Davis-Kimball and her Russian colleagues began a decades-long investigation. Their work revealed dozens of female graves containing weapons, armor, and even war injuries, proof these women hadn't just dressed like warriors, they had died like them. One of the most startling finds was a burial near Pokrovka, Russia. In the grave lay a young woman just 16 years old, clad in bronze armor. Beside her were iron-tipped arrows, a battle axe, and 2 horses, sacrificed to accompany her into the afterlife. Her legs bore the telltale signs of a life spent on horseback. This was not a fluke. Grave after grave revealed the same pattern. Women laid to rest as warriors, not wives. Their bones showed healed fractures from battle. Their burial goods were tools of war, not homemaking. What Davis-Kimball and others discovered was not a utopia of man-hating women living alone, but rather a society where women could be warriors, rulers, and equals if they chose. These tribes, Scythians, Sarmatians, and Sauramatians, were not the Amazons of Greek myth. They were real, complex peoples who roamed the steppes for centuries before being absorbed or wiped out by waves of conquest and empire. But their culture of warrior women was the seed from which the Amazon myth grew. Even Greek historians hinted at this truth. Herodotus, writing in the 5th century BCE, claimed that some Scythians told of female warriors who intermarried with their men, creating new tribes where daughters were raised to fight. His tale was treated as entertaining nonsense until modern archaeology caught up. And what about that famous myth that Amazons cut off their right breast to better shoot a bow? A misunderstanding. The Greek word amazos, meaning without breast, likely wasn't what these women called themselves. In fact, no evidence has ever shown deliberate breast removal in any skeletal remains. But the imagery stuck, a powerful metaphor for women sacrificing their bodies for war. The real Amazon women didn't live in a fantasy kingdom. They camped in tents, hunted on horseback, raised children in saddles, and wielded composite bows made of horn and sinew. They wore trousers centuries before the Greeks did, and fought with curved swords and bronze-scaled armor. They were not a myth. They were history's forgotten daughters until the earth gave them back. Today, their story resurfaces through science. Rising from tombs and ashes, museums across the world now house their weapons and ornaments. Scholars pore over their DNA. And young girls learn that the idea of female warriors was never fiction, it was buried truth. So next time you hear the word Amazon, don't think comic books or legends. Think of the windswept steppes, the thunder of hooves, and the young girl buried with her sword waiting for the world to remember her. The Amazons never needed a myth to be real. They were real all along, we just weren't ready to believe them.